Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Oklahoma Venture Forum podcast. I am your host, Kyle Golding. Today, I'm joined by Mark Stoddard, who is a founder of EzyTip, which is a subscription service for tipping service providers. It's an interesting concept. I'm going to let Mark explain all of that. So, Mark, let everyone know what EzyTip is, how it works, and what is going to be interesting about it once it becomes out in the world and in the public.
Tip makes it easy for all tip service workers, musicians, working bands, anyone that gets tips to earn more tips, and businesses to save money on tip outs. And we do this through custom web pages and a consolidation of all available tipping methods, including ours. And so the neat thing about it is that the tipper is not required to join any service. They can just use their credit card. And then we're using several banking as a service providers to process that tip and deposit it same or next day into our customer's bank account via ACH. And so the fees are very small for the transaction itself, about 3.5%. And our monthly fees come from tips. So it's virtually no cost to the person receiving the tips. And we do all this through QR codes. And by providing our customers, we're going to start with a set of online templates that they can print with their QR codes. And we're going to send them the first batch of templates to print on. And so they can just print those QR codes, start taking them out. We are in the process of a small little clip that will clip onto microphone stands. So that if you look at a band, they got all the mics going across the front. We'll put a little clip that's facing outwards on each one, so it has a QR code on there, and so that the patrons can just come along with their phone, as well as stickers that they can put on the jar. Part of our kit includes coasters. So our intent is to start with the music industry, where I have my roots in. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've already had one successful exit with my company, Lava Cable, here in Oklahoma. And I'm very familiar with the music industry. I have got a lot of respect in the music industry. So our intent is to take what we're going to do, and with all the products and the toolkit that goes along with this, and turn, like bars as an example, turn the whole bar into a tip jar. And so when the bands go in, they can put coasters out. And part of this, by sending them, starting with a kit, there's some ownership there to their kit. So they're going to have to print it, put the stickers on their coat. We're going to provide them blank coasters. They're going to have to build their own little kit. And so we're hoping with that ownership, they'll go out, and then I'm going to do some educational videos, go into some bars here in Tulsa and show how the whole thing works. So we get our roots in the music industry. And then, like with the hotel industry, the whole intent there is we can do like table tents and help them do the same thing. The folks that are in the service industry, work in the hotels, et cetera, can participate in our service. Templates will be business cards, stickers. They're going to get free bar coasters. So at the end of the day, we want to provide our customers with the tools they need and the education piece. So it's this combination. Here's the tools, here's the education piece, and QR code use right now is ubiquitous. So people are really using them. They're everywhere. And so the key to success for our business model is going to be providing the tools, educating our customers, and the word out to get out there. And from my selling my business, I still have some email contacts. Like I've got an email list of about 60,000 that we plan on kind of doing an initial one-time opt-in, push. We're going to make everybody aware. And I've done a lot of advertising and all that kind of stuff. My degree's in public relations. So, I know how to market, especially to the music industry. So as we grow, we're going to need to obviously expand and hire some folks that have more expertise in the hospitality and restaurant industry. I've done a lot of customer validation so far. Some of that's been online with surveys. A lot of it's been in person. With the restaurant industry, there's really kind of a mixed bag. So we don't want to fix tipping because it's not broken when you're getting your meal. Where it's broken is when they get the tip out at the end of the night. And so there's many different ways. A lot of them are still getting cashed out. Or some are getting it put into their bank account, so they're losing, 20% or so when it goes into their bank account. Some are even getting issued on a card. That's going to be one of the things we do later on down the line. Use a company called Lithic to issue tip cards. So as we start, it's going to be a phased process. We're going to start with the music industry, our basic service out there. They can take tips. The next piece of that is we're going to have a complete music promotion piece. So bands, artists can list all their links to buy their music, all their online presence, all their gigs. And then we're going to have an option on that portion as well. So if you're in a bar and you go up and you scan and you're tipping someone, you're going to be taken to their tip page. And on their tip page, you're going to see a Facebook-like feature that enables you to leave a picture and a comment.
Oh, cool.
So we want to kind of enable some of that tipping fan interaction. There are some apps out there that do song requests and tipping. We don't really want to do that. We're going to focus really on the tipping and just being able to leave a tip. If you want to band, here we go. If there is a song request, then great. That they may or may not be monitoring their page at that time, which is typically going to be doubtful. If you're a musician, you're in there, you're playing, you're focused on playing. So then what's cool is with our their custom web page with EzyTip, they get done with the gig, they're kind of settling out. Next morning, they're looking, oh, wow, we got all these tips. Look at all these great comments. Here's some pictures we can upload to our web page. So that's what excites me about it. I'm a musician. I've been tipped. I've got crazy tip stories. In fact, my funniest one was I had a guy who was in a bar. This when I was in the Army still. I was playing in a bar in Pinehurst, North Carolina, kind of a cool little bar. And this guy came up and he stuck a $1 bill in my headstock as I was doing a solo. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. It's only $1, but the whole message was, hey, thanks, But to tie that in, the problem with musicians right now is if you go to any club or you see live music, there's two things going on. One, patrons, by and large, they're not going to go up as often to that little tip cup at the front. And then number two, there's some apathy still there on behalf of musicians. So part of our model is educating and motivating. We want to educate.
Plus, there's a lot of people who just don't really carry cash as much anymore, right? The cashless society transition, maybe they want a tip, but they just don't have anything, maybe just large bills or no bills at all. And so this is an opportunity for them to still show some appreciation.
Yeah, and they can do it right from their table. Band puts out the posters, QR code, boom, tells everybody, and they can do it right from their table. It's easy. That's where the name comes from. At the end of the day, our name says what it does and does what it says. We are working to make it easy for musicians and artists and all tip service workers to make what we think they can make. Probably, realistically, we've looked at some of the competition and some of the numbers they're throwing out. I think with our system, as it grows, there's no reason why these musicians can't increase their tips from 30 to 60% a year. No reason at all.
Definitely be beneficial for them. So how did you get from an idea? At some point, there was a spark where yourself and maybe a few other people said, hey, this is really missing and we think we could do this better. And here's a way to support different industries. How did it go from that conversation to a real potential product and business?
Well, it started with the pandemic. So sure. About 2.5 years ago, I'm a musician. I'm seeing all my fellow musicians out there trying to hustle and make money online. And I'm like, what can be done here? And then so it's just the standard, I got a piece of paper and, I started writing stuff. And then what's funny is I found a competitor, and they're on our pitch deck now, but and when I found the competitor, there's someone I don't know, and then, but again, my serial entrepreneur hat came back on and it said, wait a minute, competition's good. So let me, with this idea, I actually, our Gerald, our CTO, to him, I was pitching it, and at that time, I wanted to do an app, but the reason we don't want to do an app is we just want to make it easy. You don't have to download anything. You just QR code takes you right to the webpage and you're done. There's no, just super smooth. But when I first pitched this to him, this is 2020, March, April, he was like, Mark, I don't know. So I shelved it for I don't know, 10 months, 12 months. And then all of a sudden, it's just like a lot of us, entrepreneur guys, it's like, you gotta get going on this thing. And so I started developing the concept more. And I went down, and there's a competition called Code Launch down in Houston, Texas area, or Texas. And I saw that, and I'm like, I'll go down and do that. And so I entered. Well, I made a huge mistake. This is a lesson learned. I did not, and I'm an Army officer. I should know better. I did not Google pitch deck.
Oh. You got to do your research, right?
I'm thinking I'm Army guy. I've done, and literally I have hundreds of PowerPoint briefings. I am PowerPoint Ranger, I no problem. And so long story short, I put my thing together, and they're both doing Zoom and in person. It's a 4-hour drive from here. So I'm like, you know what? Can I drive down? So I drive down there. My pitch is horrible. I mean, I don't know it, but it's horrible. And the guy I pitched it to, as soon as it was done, looked at me dead in the face and said, no, I'm not kidding you. He said, "That's the worst brief I have ever heard."
Wow. Tough luck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a lesson in this, because I recently participated in the Founders Institute accelerator program too, and they're the same way. They don't mince words.
Right.
So, but he's the guy that suggested. He told me, he goes, "Why don't you do your fees from tips?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a great idea." So I wasn't discouraged. I learned this. I'm a former infantry officer, so it's like, hey, you get the mission, right? Go take the hill. Roger. See you later. And you're just moving,
right?
And you don't stop. And if you encounter something like this, you just push through it. And that's what I did. I've just kept at this. I mean, and I'm going to keep at it until we get it launched. I'll figure it out. But we've made some really serious progress. So that's kind of what morphed into changing the pitch deck, learning what a pitch deck should look like. And my most recent comment to me, in fact, to a local Oklahoma investment group, is a guy got back with me and said, "That's one of the best decks I've ever seen."
There you go. So you went from worst to best by taking that input. There you go.
Exactly. And doing research, the Founders Institute I was in was really a very helpful thing. And they did a veteran scholarship for me. And they're now, hats off to them, they're doing this veteran scholarships, I think, now to a bunch more folks. They're advertising, they're linking up. So I feel good. Like, they wanted me to do some other stuff. I got about 8 weeks into their program, and they wanted me to write some essays and stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't see how that's really going to tie into my tasks and help me directly into, I've already, with musicians, as I've talked to lots of them in Los Angeles and here in Tulsa and elsewhere and online, and all my friends, to a person, "Mark, this is a great idea." And at the end of the day, what we're trying to accomplish is to make the lives better for my fellow musicians, help them earn more income. It's same as cash. So they sign our use policy, and all we're doing is acting as a agent, so that money transfers from the tippee to our bank account through our system and to their bank account same or next day via ACH.
So now you're going to take this cleaned up, polished, you've learned all your lessons, and you're bringing this pitch to OVF for our December luncheon. You're going to have 5 minutes to present to everyone in the room, which I'm sure you've got really worked out since you've got this great input from your past pitches. And then everyone in the room will have a chance to ask you questions, maybe even meet you afterwards, et cetera, and learn more about you. So tell me where the company is right now and what you're looking for, what you think you're going to need in the next 6 to 18 months to move forward and get where you need to be launched to the public.
Yeah, so where we're at right now is we are in what I would call the MVP development stage.
Right.
We are not generating revenue. In order to generate revenue, we need to build the back end of the website, which I call the engine. I call it our tipping taxi. We have built the frame and the body of our tipping taxi right now. The front end of the website is set and built. It's ready to go. We now need financial help to put the motor and the wiring in and to make this thing go. And that's all the API integration. I've made contact with all of the vendors. And so at this point, all it is a matter of getting investment or the alternate right now is, with the bootstrap piece is to find a coder who will code for equity. And then we get it up and start generating revenue. And so, on the pitch deck, I'm asking for a lot. I kind of learned this as a quartermaster guy. We're looking for $500,000. That's what the pitch deck asks for. Realistically, if we got an investor to help us out with, somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000, we could build that back end and start generating revenue. And what I really love about the model is that it's a subscription service. So it's all annual recurring revenue, and it's just going to blossom. I've done kind of all the pieces. I've approached the SBA. I've done an SBA business plan. I've got 5 years of financials that I've developed myself that are, of course, are really kind of a draft and a best guesstimate. But at the end of the day, I realistically think if we can get some help and get this out there and get it launched, I'd say in 3 to 5 years, there's no reason why this isn't doing between 25 and 50 million a year.
There you go.
The market's really, really quite large. I've found a couple of studies to show that our service obtainable market is close to $23 billion, and maybe even more. Because about 50% of our tips go unreported.
Right, cash, right?
So, and I was thinking about this the other day. We're also probably a more accurate way to look at our market too, is because we are starting as a subscription service, which does not mean that we may not translate later into a subscription plus fee service.
Sure.
Maybe a small, 0.5% per transaction or whatever the case may be. But just starting as a fee-based service, slightly a more accurate way would be to look at the number of tipped service workers in the United States. That's where we're starting at. That's still extremely large. So, at the end of the day, we have, a really good market. There's a great opportunity. And the other part of this that personally excites me, there is some competition. There's a competitor in England that's doing really well. There's a couple of others, but nobody has traction. Nobody has dominance. This is not, like Pepsi and Coke or anything like that,
It's not an entrenched market. You have the opportunity to come in and start gaining market share from day one.
There's about 10 players in the market that I would say are legitimate, but they're all going about it a little differently too. There's one of them's doing a point of sale device for salons. We don't want to do that. Most of them require, or all of them require, that when the tippy tips, they have to be a member of Venmo or whatever they're tipping. And we're going to our service enables all those. We're going to enable Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, that when that customer signs up, he can put all those in. But the neat feature for us is that with our service, which will be the primary, they'll be able to instantly, we're going to use a company called Plaid for them to put their bank account information in. That Plaid will also enable the tipper to pay with his or her bank account if they want to. So part of what we're doing is not being done by anybody. And that's the other attractive feature. So what I'm hoping for is that within the next 6 to 12 months, we can get this thing out there and generating revenue. before someone else comes along and, seizes this and sees what we're doing. But, I've invented a lot of stuff. I'm a patent holder. I just invented another product that I'm working with someone else. I've brought to market to the music industry more than 40 products.
Wow.
And many have sold in the millions all over the world. My brand Lava Cable is a globally known brand. I mean, just Google it. You Google Lava Cable, that's all me.
So we have a successful entrepreneur,
right,
serial entrepreneur, successful exit, successful patents, product development, etc. You have identified a problem. You've identified a solution to that problem. You've put the players together. You've built a small team. You've got your MVP where you want it to be. And now you're just looking to take that next step. Sounds like you have all the elements lined up for someone to join up with you and get you to that next level, which should be an interesting, I can't wait to hear the conversation maybe a year from now about how that works out.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Kyle, that I've learned a lot along the way. And one of the most difficult challenge that we're facing right now is the same with all startups. It's getting someone to see our vision.
Right.
And right now that's been very difficult. I think I've gotten a ton of rejections. I've sent stuff out, maybe some of it prematurely, maybe to a lot of VC and firms. And, I've gotten a lot of that, you're not a fit kind of deal, which for a lot of folks is true because, at the end of the day, a lot of VC firms and private investors are looking for specific industries.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pre-seed. So that narrows our market. We're MVP kind of development, narrows our market even a little further. We're non-revenue generating, narrows our market even a little bit further. So we have some things going against us, and that just is what it is. So, what I'm hoping
but finding that right fit, that right partner, I think is even more key in this situation. You don't need 1,000 investors. You need one, maybe two of the right investors, the right partners to get you to that next place, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. And that's the challenge. It's just been, I don't know. It's like anything you do in life, you try something new. So I'll give you an example. So when I started my guitar cable business, it was easy. Literally, I paid for college by being an electronic assembler for the defense industry. I used to build these really big, huge radar jamming pods. So I had high level of skill in soldering, lots of experience. I can make these little guitar cables. Well, next thing I know, I'm kind of figuring it out. And I put them up online and they're just flying off the shelf. I'm not even power selling them. I'm just, hey, I'm a guitar player like you. And then it's same with this. There was a process of discovery. Oh, hey, my customers, some of them make a little bit of money. Some of them make a lot. Some don't value guitar cables as much. Some value it more. And if I provide a range of products, all these customers and good service, guess what? They're going to love it. And then it just blossomed. I mean, I just, before I knew it, when I retired from the Army, my company had 300 to 400 stores worldwide carrying it. I didn't have super high volume. I was still very small, but the brand got out there. I learned a lot in advertising and how to uniquely approach the market. And I think part of that here is, I think the initial growth stage, and repeating here a little bit, is the music industry. And that's where I'm expert in, as well as Jeremy, my CTO. He's a musician in a band, and he's also the CEO of a company called Flying Miata. That's how we both know each other. I own a Turbo Miata and have bought stuff from him. But
hey, you start with what you know, which is an industry and you have some connections and relationships, but you combine your past experience as an entrepreneur and as an Army veteran. I want to thank you for your service for that as well, and combine that into something that potentially can be successful.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm going to end the conversation with this last question we ask everyone on the podcast. What is your advice for Oklahoma-based entrepreneurs? What is it that you think that they really need to understand if they're thinking about starting something like you're doing, or if they're at the MVP stage, or if they're raising money and running into all of these no's that you've been running into? What do you think they need to know specifically about doing this from Oklahoma?
Well, from Oklahoma, I think what I've noticed is there's a lot of folks that are here to help. I've gone down to Tulsa and talked to some folks. In fact, the best reception that I've received and feedback has been from Oklahoma vendors and banks. I had one banker give me some great advice. It was very friendly to me, gave me a referral. So my advice is to just stick with it. Keep networking, and that's what I'm doing here. You just keep plugging away at it, and here in Oklahoma, there's just a lot of opportunity. And I think if you do your research and look for those folks that can, see your vision and help you out, and that's what I'm doing. And for all of us in this boat, we just have to keep at it. That's my advice. Just keep at it till you find that person, and make sure. I would also say make sure you have a viable business model.
Right.
And I think that's the struggle that I've actually had with this. I think that folks have, as I have worked it and done things, they have initially looked at it and gone, I don't think that's viable.
And sometimes you need that third party, that outsider who's not connected, not passionate about it happening, but really can be logical about it and ask you some questions and really kind of force you to work through the process, right? To get not just something that's a good idea, but a very viable business opportunity.
Yes, sir.
So you guys, that's a great information, great presentation from Mark about EzyTip. He's going to be one of our pitch presenters upcoming soon for OVF. So make sure you check the website, find out when he's going to be speaking. Come and listen to his pitch, ask some Q&A, maybe meet him. Maybe you're a coder, maybe you're an investor, maybe you're someone who just has some advice for him on how EzyTip can go from MVP stage to taking the world by storm. We appreciate you on the podcast today having this conversation, telling us all about EzyTip and for presenting to us soon at OVF.
Thank you. Much appreciated. You have a great day.